Excellent. Let me ask both of you, and y'all can say what you want because that's what it is. And being the accident, I guess, really has that to a nostrum in terms of that. This meeting with all of the Major Carter. Communication, I think, is so important. It's the one thing that keeps us from being mama head. And I think that is a part of the that I remember from Major Carter because he always was saying, a lot of stuff. But give us some thoughts. Short.
He was direct and to the point.
Well, I mean, directed to the point, to the fact that, candid, what we have, then I guess, too, right? I mean, that's what you're saying.
You knew where he stood.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, yeah.
And he was just.
He was always there.
He was there. He let the cadets be cadets.
Yes, and then with Rick, let's give you to Humba, what we have, and then I guess really, and in your own words.
I basically was a first sergeant in the last year of my ROTC school, and basically I was in the office with Major Carter a lot of times based off the fact that after I did, roll call for all the cadets, I was upstairs in the admin office.
When you said admin, I wasn't sure you were saying, I thought you said badmen, because there were a lot of them there. There were a lot of us, a lot of them. But the last thing that I want to say, well, I said it a while ago, but I'll go ahead and repeat. And I guess really is that part of the thing that y'all have heard of Major Carter and the tears of the world, whether you know what we have in there. Is that something? Is that something?
Yeah, he was very professional. I learned a lot from Major Carter being in the office with him, and that carried over into my professional career.
I was going to say it's all been had that what we have, and then I guess really has that to notion that. Is that a fair statement, Bob?
I think so. He's the exemplar example.
And consistent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, and when I say Major Carter, I think, Major Carter. But I think that when who they handle like it, and I guess really with students, with other faculty members, the sergeants were so themselves. And the Mahonica, then you do what we have. Is that feel like that? You find that to be true too?
Well, I found Major Carter to be quite approachable.
Yeah, because he was there.
Yeah, he was there, and he was there every day, and it was not like you were intimidated. There've been a couple of significant men in my family, for me anyway. My grandfather, my father, Major Carter, Major Sapp, who all had a huge impact on me, even to this day.
What a compliment! What an absolute compliment to include Major Carter in your personal family.
Well, Major Carter was there for not only just the 3 years that I was at Central, but I still went back to see him when I moved up to Mercer University, again in the ROTC department.
A lot of people went back to see him. Go back to see him, right?
And still go back to see him. Major Carter did absolutely great by us.
I don't know how you can improve on something like that. I know Major Carter, you absolutely feel the same way, but for them, because it shows. And I want to wind down by asking you this, Carl. And I'm thinking, what we have, and then I guess really has that to a notion. Is that something that you've seen or heard, or should I repeat that?
You should repeat that one more time for me.
Is that something you've heard?
Yes.
But Captain Major Carter has been such a being that will have, then I guess really with the community, and for all the other aspects of that. Give us, if y'all would, and Teresa, we'll start with you. Again, and what we have, and then I guess really as that to not only in nostrum here in Macon, but certainly throughout Georgia. And Major Carter himself has been and is and will be. And I guess, give me some thoughts on that, if you would.
Mike, why don't you take this one?
Okay, great deal. Mike?
Oh. Well, I first met Captain Carter when he first came to Lanier, because I'm class of '64, so I was there when he first got there. And I don't know if I was the first, but I was one of the first to go see him for disciplinary action. And he and I became real good friends because I got to see him quite often.
I was going to say, when you say disciplinary action, that's an old term. It's a real old term, and I wanted to find out if you candid what we have, and not cement that what we've seen so far, because he was so good. He's the one that got me into communication, and what with that. Teresa, have you been involved in that at all? And don't pass it to Mike.
Yes.
Ooh, good deal. The last thing that I wanted to say, and I think that maybe 100 units of what we have, and then I guess really did, is this. Major Carter, he was Captain Carter then, but we know things change. I don't mind change. I just, don't want to be there when it happens. But Mike, give us some thoughts, or a lot of thoughts, if you would, on Major Carter and the influence he's had with you and your life and family and the community and whatever. And give us some also what we have in that and know to be true. Because there's so many things, and when I say so many, I mean more than, just a few. And give us about the candidate, with Major Carter, and also, of course, Captain Carter back then, because listen, and again, in your own words.
Thank you, Dr. Payne.
Yeah.
Well, the first time I met Major Carter, I actually almost passed out. Actually, it was the first day of ROTC for me, and I locked my knees and learned real quickly that you really can't do that. But in the process, I listened to the rest of the speech and came away from that first session with Major Carter thinking that he was a pretty ominous, authoritarian figure and somebody I needed to avoid if I was going to survive at Lanier in ROTC. Actually, over the years I was there, I learned that there was a lot more to Major Carter than the authoritarian figure I saw day one. And later I found that he really cared greatly about his students, his cadets. This was a man that would shed his uniform, or at least the top, and with T-shirts get out and sweat it up with us on the ping pong table and teach us how it was played. We learned a lot about who the man was and who we could become through his leadership and those of the staff that surrounded him. Anyway, a special thing that I remember is that my senior year, I had evolved in the program, and I felt comfortable enough to ask Major Carter if he would write a reference letter for me for a college application. And in that letter that he did agree to write for me, I learned things about myself that I saw from his perspective that I didn't see in myself. I learned that there was a lot that I didn't appreciate, I didn't understand, but I felt that there was a great deal of opportunity to do more than maybe what I was ever thought of myself to do. So that being the case, I do appreciate what Major Carter did for me then as a young man, and I really appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation with you.
Wow, I think everybody out there would agree with me when I say, what? I mean, I'm not saying it was long, but I did feel like if you continued, I was going to have to shave. Security! All right, we're talking with Smitty. Of course, his real name is something like you ought to buy the garter. Well, what is your real name?
Holt Smith Garnto Jr.
Smitty, right?
Yeah.
All right, good deal. Smitty, let me start, which is a great place to begin, by asking you, listen, what we have, and then I guess with Major Carter and all of the others, but Major Carter especially, is that something that, what we have, and I guess really I could wind it all up by saying, has it? And I'm going to repeat that, not all of it, but just that last part. Has it?
Yes.
That's what I thought. That's what I tried to tell people for years, and they thought that I was crazy. Of course, they still do. Smitty, let me just close out again because I've got one more to close out. How?
Yes.
You were wonderful. I could see the influence of you that Major Carter had. He taught me everything I know, especially how to talk. Smitty, I'm going to wind down for both of us by asking you this. What, if any, and if not, how much? That's something that Major Carter used to ask us all the time. Let me repeat that. What, if any, and if not, how much?
A lot, especially nowadays.
Let me ask both of you to give, and I'll ask both of you to give the open walk of it, and I guess really with the response to that concerning Major Carter. Of course, he was Captain Carter back then. Things changed. But give us some thoughts on that and move. Candid, then, you know what, heaven's flight with him and with all the other people. Mm-hmm.
Well, what I remember mostly is great leadership skills that he's passed down through his staff and also to the student body.
And also, but you have to, I guess, really in terms of that, with Major Carter being the force, right?
That's correct.
And Keith, is it Keith?
Right.
I'm sorry. Keith, let me ask you to give us parts of the, what we have, and then I guess really in terms of that back then, because that was.
Well,
because I could tell you was coming up with a thought that I want you to add a little bit more to.
Major Carter was really the backbone. He really let sergeant majors take care of us and drive us, but he was.
Let me say this, and he let them also. Let's be honest. Back then, he let them paddle us.
Oh yes, yes. I mean, he, when it took the discipline, he got the discipline and got it across, and we took it.
But I think, well, I mean, I don't, but I know people who do. In the areas of concern that Habo, like guys from Macon, with the military, with Lanier, hard to be sticking in a reaping and that. Is that something y'all have heard before?
Absolutely.
And you?
Yes.
Right. All right, y'all need to go see a doctor. The last thing that I want to say, well, I said it a while ago, but I'll extend it just a tad. Major Carter told me one time, well, he was the captain then. I knew he'd be major, though, one day. And that day has come, and I think that's fine. But that has nothing to do with the subject, so I'm going to change that. He was talking to us one time and said that it was a me cannon. And what we have in the spirit and the ribbon and tank, and then what we have in there. Does that sound like Major Carter?
Exactly. He instilled as well as the sergeant majors.
Good deal. And tell me some of that, what we have in that.
My sentiments exactly.
Oh, I love being in Macon. All right, now let me ask you one last thing. Bahasa, how you going to know what we have, and I guess really with Major Carter's role in terms of that, with communication, because like I've always said, there's so many words, and they all, mean different things.
Well, the biggest thing for me is to, after all this time, is to say thank you to Major Carter for what he did, not just for me, but for all the, the young guys back then who were looking for a little bit of direction. And
looking for a lot of direction. Right?
A lot of direction, actually.
Let me ask both of you to look in that camera. And the last thing that I want to say is, well, it looks like I'm going to be brought on board up in Washington as Director of Communication. And I owe so much of my panic, what we have, and then I guess really has that to Major Carter. Any thoughts?
I just like to say that I enjoyed my years there, even though I only had 2 years at Central High School. I appreciate the opportunity of being around Major Carter and learning from him as a professionalism.
And it's so true. And Bob, give us the last thought about you. Hey, can you do?
Sir, thank you for your service, and we salute you.
Thank you, Major Carter.
Thank you very much, Major Carter, for all you've meant to me personally, and I'm sure to a lot of other young men that came through the program during your years. Thank you so much.
I'd like to say thank you, Major Carter.
Excellent.
Major Carter, I'd like to thank you for your leadership.
And also, thank you for your mentorship.
Thank you very much, Captain Carter, Major Carter, for your friendship over these years.
Well, first of all, Major Carter, let me just say this personally. I've been around all of your former students and cadets today having some fun. But the main thing that I have gotten out of this is, one, you are such a perfect example of leadership, of mentorship. The words have all come out here. I personally want to say thank you forever for the influence you had on taking boys and making them men. Great things don't change. God bless. So let me ask you to do what we have, and I guess really, and wind down by asking both of y'all this, and that is, would y'all agree or would you disagree that it looks like them had it and what we have throughout the rest of the entire had it?
No.
Yes.